feel like the impression the last few Yap videos on this channel have given is that I just hate rare weapons in Deepwoken, and I just have this massive hate boner against Rarity, and I want Deepwoken to turn into TSB. And as funny as it is to say, yes, I am in fact trying to ruin your favorite game and turn it into a battlegrounds, and this entire channel has actually just been a front to put for the Deepwoken battleground game agenda, but you know, that's actually just not the case. What I actually do hate is feeling disrespected, or like feeling like I'm having my time wasted. And I fear as we all get older, that's a struggle that becomes a little bit too relatable. Simply put, most people with obligations other than their Deepwoken guild simply can't sustain 40-hour grinds for the sake of keeping up with the meta. Thankfully, in modern Deepwoken times, this is less of an issue than it's ever been, and besides one notable exception, weapons are generally accessible, which is what people wanted. So then why is there so much discontent? Well, the average person will tell you it's because new legendary weapons and items don't feel legendary, which admittedly seems like a difficult thing to quantify, because what exactly makes something feel legendary? I can only speak for myself, but in my opinion, opening a random chest to find a legendary weapon doesn't feel legendary. I always found it kind of dumb that John Crit Blade just left his Crit Blade with a random lionfish and I just happened to find it, because you know, that's really stupid. No, at least to me, what makes legendary weapons feel legendary is prestige, so the act of actually obtaining the weapon, world building, and or what they represent as a weapon. I feel like in recent times, Deepwoken has kind of stepped away from the interesting ways of implementing weapons that made them feel legendary in favor of, you know, unemployed non-game dev here when I say this, but objectively lazy implementation methods. And that has led to the negative sentiment we've been seeing recently. Even more recently though, the devs released a new boss in the heart of Enmity with exclusive drops that I honestly think is one of the best updates they have ever introduced, because it proved that the devs could still make things feel legendary. Long ass intro, but you know, just lock in, cause you know, like the video real quick, subscribe while you're down there, type shit, you know what I'm saying? And you know, let's just get into the content. Let's talk about why Heart of Enmity is the future of Deepwoken. If y'all just been like making like Patrick Star and living under a rock and somehow missed it, Deepwoken recently released the World Events update, and alongside it came a few new bosses. Now I know I've been on my productive, no unnecessary hating shit, but you know, the majority of these bosses were ass. I can't speak for everyone when I say this, but World Serpent and Parasol just don't feel good to fight at all. With World Serpent just spamming one-shots and Parasol currently having no arms, neither of these bosses are very enjoyable at the moment. Carnival of Hearts is actually my favorite one of these world events in theory, but as of right now, it just bugs out constantly, and it also just sucks ass. I don't want to be too harsh on these bosses because they clearly need some polish and aren't totally finished, but you know, I digress or something. The boss I actually really mainly want to talk about today is the Heart of Enmity, which is the first real raid boss in Deepwoken, requiring 5 people to even spawn him in. Now, Heart of Enmity falls into a category in Deepwoken of what I like to call actual bosses, because if we're all being dead ass, Duke, Ferryman, Chaser, and Don just don't make the fucking cut. And although cheese methods have been found for the boss, which is, you know, notably something that happens with every single boss, he's still one of the most difficult enemies ever introduced into Deepwoken. Bro, I'm not even like anti-nerfing Chorus of Agonies, but there's niggas saying that because the boss is cheesable, you should nerf the weapon. And I'm sitting here like, bro, you same niggas were sitting here sleeping in your bed, snoring, snoozing, AFK farming Maestro for infinite fucking items, bro. I don't want to hear this shit from you niggas, bro. Like, stop playing with me, bro. But you know, besides potential cheese methods you can use, what you're presented with here is one of, if not the most difficult enemy in the entire game, with the major downside of wiping if you fail to defeat him. However, if you do succeed in defeating him, the upside is also pretty damn good in my opinion. Which brings me to the next section of this video, which is rewarding skilled gameplay. Now, what do I mean by rewarding skilled gameplay? To do this, I'm gonna use an example of not doing that, which is, you know, let's just go with Dormant Splinter. I'm gonna be so dead ass, bro. 99% of why I hated Dormant Splinter so much was that it was supposedly this mythical item that tried to reforge into the legendary Witherblade, and you obtain it by sailing around in the Void Sea but for hours on end. And I don't know about y'all, but at least to me, that's lame as fuck, and it really doesn't make the weapon feel any more legendary. Segue into Heart of Enmity, which as an enemy presents one of the biggest challenges in all of Deepwoken, and if you manage to succeed, you're rewarded with arguably the best, most exclusive equipment in the entire game. Hold like mod armor and like dev shit. I don't really want to get into the discourse around how broken Chorus of Agonies is, because I'm of the opinion that they should nerf that shit into the ground, but I will say, it feels a lot less bad getting beat by a weapon your opponent actually earned, in theory. I'd much rather get beat down with the Axe of the Depths God than a weapon that Michael Dorman Splinter left at the Ferryman last Wednesday, but you know, that's just me. I believe this is an objectively better way to handle rare loot. The way I see it, there's no real skill or accomplishment involved in just happening across a Dormant Splinter after killing a brain sucker. And in my opinion, there's no real special feeling in it either. At least for me, it feels infinitely better mastering a skill check and completing a cool story/quest line and being rewarded with the legendary weapon that way. This way the player's time is respected, as the only factor in obtaining the new content is their skill and not Honkai Star Rail style gambling. I think it's also much more of a status symbol this way, with all the items being undroppable from Enmity, and the only way to obtain them is by defeating Enmity. So you know right away that people rocking this armor and weapon are like that, unlike the people running around with Dormant Splinter, because I fear some of you niggas are very ass. As I was writing this script, the Deepwoken does release a new relic tier weapon called the Vortex Echo, and the obtainment for this weapon also happens to be cool as fuck. You need to collect 3 different items, those being the Weathered Timepiece, the Temporal Crux, and the Cursed Schematic, and craft them in a crafting table. The cool thing about the items required for this recipe is that they're all obtained in different sections of Layer 2, in a sort of pseudo quest line. And it ends up actually being a really cool piece of lore and content, aka what fuck ass Dormant Splinter could have been. An even bigger dig to Dormant Splinter is that this weapon isn't just a really stupid stat stick, it actually does something interesting. The crit for the Vortex Echo reduces all of your cooldowns by 30 seconds in exchange for the substantial amount of wither on your health bar. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had a weapon or a crit that functions even kinda like this one in Deepwoken. Just based on the fact that you don't have a traditional fist crit, you have to actively build around that with your weapon, as well as playing around the wither you're consistently applying to yourself. In my opinion, this weapon is 10 out of 10, and shows that devs can still innovate when it comes to making new weapons. I can't say the same about Chorus of Agonies, but you know, they can't all be bangers. I really love this evolution of Rarity in Deepwoken, because for a really long time, legendary and relic tier weapons felt extremely bland. And like I said earlier, it's not because they were accessible, it's because they were implemented in lame ass ways. Locking new interesting content behind new interesting content is the best way to implement that content, and it leads to the least amount of players complaining. Because when you do it like this, instead of another flavor of the week legendary weapon that everyone hates that just drops from Serpent Hollows for the 8th week in a row, you get a new weapon that hopefully ties into the world and ends up being a neat piece of lore and or a fun search for the player base. Less of a factor, but still a factor in my opinion, is legendary weapons for a long time being very samey, in that it's just 75 element, 40 weapon stat, and a custom crit. They're extremely formulaic and never really fundamentally change how you play your build. I believe weapons like the Vortex Echo, which fundamentally change how you play around your cooldowns, with the downside of having to manage draining your own health bar, could usher in a new era of relic weapons that actually evolve Deepwoken combat in unique ways by doing unique things. And I wholeheartedly believe if they continue like this, the complaints that legendary weapons don't feel legendary will be a thing of the past. Like, comment, subscribe, you know, we're really trying to hit 4,000 subscribers, you know, maybe 5,000, that'd be pretty sick, you know, 5,000 subscribers on the Noble channel. Damn, that's a big number. Like the video, you know, people haven't been liking the videos, it makes me very sad. I've been crying a lot. Just like the video, and I'll see y'all later. Peace. Bye now. Goodbye. All right, back to coding.